Welcome, wanderers of the dark and seekers of the unknown, to Whispers on the Asphalt, your go-to channel for spine-tingling tales and haunted histories. Here, we explore the eerie corners of the world where shadows stretch longer than they should and the hum of tires on pavement is often accompanied by whispers from beyond. Today, we embark on a chilling journey along some of the most haunted highways in the Pacific Northwest, a region renowned for its breathtaking landscapes, dense forests, and a rich tapestry of folklore that blurs the line between myth and reality. The Pacific Northwest, with its mist-shrouded mountains, winding coastal roads, and endless stretches of wilderness, has long been a breeding ground for ghostly legends and unexplained phenomena. These highways, carved through rugged terrain and steeped in history, are more than mere conduits for travel. They are corridors of mystery, where the past lingers like fog over a moonlit lake. From spectral hitchhikers to phantom vehicles, from cursed landmarks to blood-soaked stretches of asphalt, these roads hold secrets that defy explanation and challenge the boundaries of belief. In this two-part series, we will peel back the layers of the supernatural, revealing the haunting stories behind the region's most infamous routes. Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, prepare to have your curiosity piqued and your courage tested as we delve into the unknown. So buckle up, keep your headlights on, and join us as we navigate the shadowy highways of the Pacific Northwest. Let the journey begin. The sinister allure of Colorado's ghost towns nestled amidst the rugged peaks and sprawling valleys of Colorado lies a haunting tapestry of abandoned settlements, frozen in time like eerie snapshots of a bygone era. These ghost towns, once thriving hubs of ambition, industry, and dreams, now stand as silent witnesses to the passage of time, and perhaps something more sinister. Beneath their weathered facades and crumbling structures lies an unsettling energy, a spectral resonance that whispers of lives abruptly cut short, secrets buried deep within the earth, and tragedies that refuse to fade into obscurity. For those brave enough to venture into these desolate landscapes, the stories etched into the very fabric of these towns offer far more than mere historical intrigue. They beckon with promises of terror, mystery, and encounters with forces beyond comprehension. Colorado's ghost towns are not merely relics of the past. They are living, breathing entities steeped in folklore and paranormal activity. From the gold rush fever that fueled boomtowns to the devastating bust that left them abandoned, each town carries its own unique tale of triumph and tragedy. Yet, it is the darker chapters, the unexplained disappearances, violent conflicts, and untimely deaths, that truly define their haunted reputations. These narratives transcend mere legend, drawing on documented accounts, first-hand testimonies, and chilling evidence captured by paranormal investigators who have dared to explore their depths. As the sun dips below the jagged horizon, casting long shadows across deserted streets and boarded-up windows, the true nature of these ghost towns reveals itself. The air grows heavy with an inexplicable stillness, broken only by faint rustling winds or distant echoes that seem to defy logic. It is here, in this liminal space between reality and nightmare, that visitors report feeling an overwhelming sense of being watched, or worse, followed. Apparitions drift silently through decaying buildings, disembodied voices murmur from empty mine shafts, and cold spots materialize without warning, leaving even the most skeptical individuals questioning what lies just beyond the veil. These ghost towns serve as gateways to another realm, where the boundary between the living and the dead blurs dangerously thin. They remind us that history is never truly confined to textbooks or museum exhibits. It lingers, alive and restless, in the places we least expect. Whether you're drawn by morbid curiosity, a fascination with the supernatural, or simply the thrill of stepping into the unknown, Colorado's most haunted ghost towns promise an experience unlike any other. Prepare yourself for a journey through time and terror, where every creaking floorboard and flickering lantern might just be a sign that you're not alone. Welcome to Episode 1, Most Haunted Ghost Towns of Colorado. St. Elmo, echoes of the gold rush tucked away in the heart of Colorado's Sawatch Range. The ghost town of St. Elmo stands as one of the state's most iconic remnants of the Wild West. Founded in 1880 during the height of the gold and silver mining boom, St. Elmo quickly became a bustling hub of activity, boasting over 2,000 residents at its peak. Saloons lined Main Street, general stores overflowed with supplies, and the hum of industry echoed through the mountains as miners chased fortune beneath the earth. Yet, behind the glittering allure of prosperity lay a darker undercurrent, tales of betrayal, violence, and unexplained disappearances that would forever stain the town's legacy. One of the most infamous incidents tied to St. Elmo occurred in 1883, when a dispute over a lucrative mining claim erupted into bloodshed. Two rival prospectors, John Grizzly McAllister and Thomas O'Reilly, engaged in a heated argument outside the town's largest saloon. What began as a verbal altercation escalated into a deadly shootout, leaving both men dead and several bystanders injured. Witnesses claimed to hear unearthly screams piercing the night air as the gunshots rang out, a phenomenon attributed to the raw emotion of the moment. Decades later, visitors to St. Elmo report hearing similar cries emanating from the same stretch of road, accompanied by the faint sound of gunfire echoing through the valley. Adding to the town's haunted reputation is the legend of Mary Murphy, a young woman who ran the town's boarding house during the late 1890s. Described as kind-hearted yet fiercely independent, Mary became embroiled in a scandalous affair with a married miner named Henry Blackwood. When Henry's wife discovered their relationship, she allegedly cursed Mary, vowing that her spirit would never find peace. Shortly thereafter, Mary vanished under mysterious circumstances, her disappearance coinciding with a sudden fire that gutted the boarding house. To this day, guests exploring the ruins claim to see a figure resembling Mary wandering the charred remains, her translucent form illuminated by moonlight. Others report hearing soft sobbing and the scent of burning wood lingering in the air, evoking the tragic fate of the ill-fated proprietress. Perhaps the most spine-chilling aspect of St. Elmo lies within its abandoned mines. Once teeming with workers extracting precious metals, these tunnels now sit eerily silent, their darkened passages said to harbor restless spirits. Miners who ventured too deep were rumored to encounter shadowy figures blocking their path, while others swore they felt icy hands gripping their shoulders, pulling them back toward the surface. Modern-day explorers recount harrowing experiences inside the mines, including lights flickering inexplicably, tools moving on their own, and disembodied voices whispering warnings like, "Turn back," or, "You shouldn't be here." One particularly chilling account comes from a group of hikers who swore they saw glowing eyes staring at them from the darkness before vanishing without a trace. Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted reputation, St. Elmo remains a popular destination for tourists eager to immerse themselves in its storied past. Visitors flock to the town year-round, drawn by its picturesque scenery and well-preserved structures, many of which date back to the late 19th century. For those brave enough to spend the night, the opportunity to witness its spectral inhabitants firsthand offers both terror and fascination. Yet, as each new visitor steps across its threshold, they must decide whether they are ready to face the echoes of the gold rush and the restless spirits it left behind. Paranormal investigators have conducted numerous expeditions within St. Elmo's boundaries, capturing compelling evidence of its supernatural activity. Thermal imaging cameras reveal significant temperature drops in specific locations, particularly near the old saloon and the boarding house ruins. Electromagnetic field (EMF) meters register unusual spikes, especially close to the mine entrances, suggesting the presence of unseen entities. Perhaps the most unsettling discovery came during a live investigation broadcast online. Viewers watching the feed spotted a translucent figure darting across the screen in real time, prompting widespread speculation about the nature of the spirits haunting St. Elmo.st. Elmo's enduring allure lies not only in its rich history, but also in its ability to evoke primal fears. Its desolate streets, crumbling buildings, and foreboding mines create an atmosphere ripe for exploration and unease. As the sun sets and darkness envelopes the town, shadows dance unnaturally, and the silence becomes almost oppressive. It is in these moments that the line between reality and imagination blurs, leaving visitors questioning whether they've truly encountered something otherworldly, or if the ghosts of St. Elmo exist solely in the recesses of their minds. Regardless of the answer, one thing is certain: St. Elmo will continue to captivate and terrify those who dare to tread its haunted grounds. Ominous forks, shadows of the Silver Rush perched high in the San Juan Mountains at an elevation of nearly 11,000 feet, Animus Forks is a ghost town shrouded in both awe-inspiring beauty and bone-chilling dread. Established in 1873 during the silver mining boom, this remote settlement was once home to over 450 hardy souls determined to strike it rich in one of Colorado's harshest environments. Despite its breathtaking alpine vistas and pristine wilderness, Animus Forks harbored a dark secret, one that continues to haunt its barren streets and dilapidated cabins to this day. Animus Forks earned its ominous reputation early on, thanks in large part to the treacherous conditions faced by its residents. Winters here were brutal, with snowdrifts reaching heights of 20 feet or more, cutting off the town from civilization for months at a time. Isolation bred desperation, and tales of survival often turned grim. One such story revolves around the winter of 1883–84, when a fierce blizzard trapped the entire population indoors for weeks. Supplies dwindled, tempers flared, and tensions reached a breaking point. According to local lore, a miner named Elias Cromwell snapped under the pressure, barricading himself in his cabin after allegedly murdering 2 neighbors over a trivial disagreement. His body was found days later, frozen solid and clutching a blood-stained pickaxe. Visitors to Animus Forks today report hearing muffled screams and frantic pounding coming from the ruins of that same cabin, as though Elias's final moments continue to replay in an endless loop. Another chilling legend centers around the town's former schoolhouse, which served as a makeshift hospital during outbreaks of illness. In 1886, a virulent strain of typhoid swept through Animus Forks, claiming the lives of nearly 30 people, including children. The victims were hastily buried in shallow graves due to the frozen ground, their bodies barely concealed beneath layers of snow. Paranormal investigators claim that the spirits of these unfortunate souls remain trapped in the area, unable to move on. Guests exploring the ruins of the schoolhouse describe feeling an overwhelming sense of sadness, accompanied by the sound of faint crying and the sensation of cold fingers brushing against their skin. Some even swear they've seen shadowy figures of children playing in the snow, only to vanish when approached. Perhaps the most notorious figure associated with Animus Forks is Sarah Salty Malone, a saloon owner known for her fiery temper and questionable morals. Salty ruled her establishment with an iron fist, doling out justice, or vengeance, as she saw fit. Legend has it that she poisoned a rival businessman who threatened to expose her illegal dealings, disposing of his body in an abandoned mine shaft. Her reign of terror ended abruptly when she disappeared without a trace in 1894, leaving behind only rumors of foul play and a string of unpaid debts. Today, visitors to Animus Forks report encountering a spectral woman dressed in Victorian attire, her face obscured by a veil. She is often seen wandering near the remains of the old saloon, muttering angrily under her breath before fading into the mist. The town's isolation also contributes to its eerie atmosphere. With no electricity or modern amenities, nights in Animus Forks are pitch black, save for the occasional glimmer of moonlight reflecting off the snow. Sounds carry unnaturally far in the thin mountain air, making every creak and groan seem amplified. Hikers traversing the nearby trails frequently describe hearing footsteps crunching through the snow behind them, despite being miles from the nearest human habitation. Others claim to see strange lights bobbing in the distance, resembling lanterns carried by long-dead prospectors searching for their lost claims. Modern-day investigations into Animus Forks paranormal activity have yielded intriguing results. Thermal cameras detect significant temperature drops in key locations, including the ruins of the schoolhouse and the abandoned saloon. Electromagnetic field (EMF) meters register unusual spikes, particularly near the mine shafts believed to contain the bodies of murder victims and disease casualties. Audio recordings capture faint whispers, some pleading for help, others issuing cryptic warnings in garbled tones. Perhaps the most compelling evidence comes from a series of photographs taken during a recent expedition, which appeared to show translucent figures standing amidst the ruins, their forms distorted by the harsh mountain winds. Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted reputation, Animus Forks continues to attract adventurous travelers eager to test their courage against the elements. For those brave enough to make the journey, the promise of encountering its spectral inhabitants offers both terror and fascination. Whether you're drawn by the allure of its dramatic landscape or the thrill of peeling back the layers of its enigmatic history, Ominous Forks promises an unforgettable experience where the line between the living and the dead blurs, and the echoes of yesterday linger just beyond reach. Ashcroft, whispers of war and betrayal nestled in the shadow of the Elk Mountains. Ashcroft stands as a haunting testament to Colorado's tumultuous past. Founded in 1880 during the silver boom, this once thriving mining town quickly became a hub of ambition, greed, and conflict. At its peak, Ashcroft boasted a population of over 2,000 residents, complete with saloons, hotels, and even a newspaper. But beneath its veneer of prosperity lay a web of betrayal, violence, and tragedy that would ultimately seal its fate, and leave behind a legacy steeped in the supernatural. One of Ashcroft's darkest chapters unfolded in 1883, when tensions between rival mining factions erupted into open warfare. Known locally as the Silver Feud, this bitter conflict pitted the wealthy investors of the Tam O'Shanter mine against smaller operators struggling to survive. The feud culminated in a bloody shootout on Main Street, leaving 5 men dead and countless others wounded. Witnesses reported seeing shadowy figures lingering amidst the chaos, their forms indistinct but unmistakably malevolent. Decades later, visitors to Ashcroft claimed to hear the unmistakable crack of gunfire echoing through the empty streets, accompanied by the anguished cries of those caught in the crossfire. Some even swear they've seen apparitions of miners locked in eternal combat, their spectral forms dissolving into mist as dawn breaks. Another chilling tale tied to Ashcroft involves the mysterious disappearance of Dr. Samuel Hargrove, the town's only physician. Renowned for his skill and compassion, Dr. Hargrove was beloved by the community, until he vanished without explanation in 1887. Speculation swirled about foul play, with many pointing fingers at disgruntled patients or jealous rivals. However, no body was ever found, and the case went cold. Today, visitors exploring the ruins of Ashcroft's old hospital report hearing faint footsteps pacing the halls, along with the sound of medical instruments clinking together, as if someone were still performing surgeries. On occasion, a shadowy figure resembling Dr. Hargrove can be seen standing in doorways, his gaze fixed on some distant point before vanishing into thin air. Perhaps the most enduring legend of Ashcroft revolves around the tragic love affair of Clara Winslow and James Callahan. Clara, the daughter of a prominent mine owner, fell deeply in love with James, a lowly prospector with dreams of striking it rich. Their romance sparked outrage among the town's elite, who viewed James as unworthy of Clara's hand. In a desperate bid to keep them apart, Clara's father orchestrated James's arrest on false charges of theft, sending him to prison miles away. Heartbroken and unwilling to face life without her lover, Clara took her own life in the family's mansion. Locals say her spirit haunts the property to this day, appearing as a pale, ethereal figure draped in white. Guests staying nearby report hearing soft sobbing and the faint strains of a piano melody believed to have been Clara's favorite. Others claim to feel an icy breeze pass through them as they approach the mansion, as though Clara herself were trying to warn them away. Ashcroft's isolation further amplifies its haunting atmosphere. Surrounded by dense forests and towering peaks, the town feels cut off from the rest of the world, a perfect breeding ground for fear and superstition. Nights here are eerily quiet, save for the occasional rustle of leaves or howl of the wind. Yet, it is in these moments of stillness that visitors report the strangest occurrences. Lights flicker unpredictably in the few remaining buildings, despite there being no electrical infrastructure. Doors slam shut on their own, and disembodied voices whisper cryptic phrases in languages unfamiliar to anyone present. One particularly unsettling account comes from a group of campers who swore they saw a procession of ghostly figures marching down Main Street, their faces obscured by wide-brimmed hats and long coats, an eerie echo of the town's mining heyday. Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted reputation, Ashcroft remains a popular destination for history enthusiasts and thrill-seekers alike. Its stark beauty, combined with its tragic past, creates an atmosphere unlike any other. For those brave enough to spend the night, the opportunity to confront its ghosts offers both terror and fascination. Yet, as each new visitor steps across its threshold, they must decide whether they are ready to face the shadows of war and betrayal, and the restless spirits they left behind. A legacy of fire and fury. High in the rugged terrain of Colorado's Mosquito Range lies the ghost town of Independence, a place where ambition burned brightly before being consumed by disaster. Established in 1879 during the height of the gold rush, Independence quickly became a beacon of hope for prospectors seeking fortune in the unforgiving wilderness. At its zenith, the town boasted over 1,500 residents, 3 mills, and a thriving economy driven by the promise of riches buried beneath the earth. Yet beneath its gleaming facade lay a powder keg of danger and despair, ignited by calamity and sealed by flames that would forever scar its legacy. Independence's descent into infamy began in the winter of 1881, when a catastrophic avalanche roared down the mountainside, burying much of the town under tons of snow and debris. Dozens perished in the disaster, their bodies entombed in icy graves that could not be reached until spring. Survivors spoke of hearing screams muffled by the crushing weight of snow, followed by an oppressive silence that hung heavy in the air. Decades later, visitors to Independence report eerie sensations as they walk among the ruins, chills running down their spines, the sensation of being watched, and the faint sound of muffled cries drifting on the wind. Some claim to see shadowy figures clawing at invisible barriers, their movements desperate and futile, as though reliving the horror of that fateful day. But it was the Great Fire of 1899 that truly cemented Independence's haunted reputation. Sparked by a careless miner's lantern, the inferno tore through the wooden structures of the town with terrifying speed. Flames licked hungrily at rooftops, consuming homes, businesses, and lives in a matter of hours. Historical records indicate that at least 15 people died in the blaze, either trapped inside burning buildings or succumbing to smoke inhalation. Among the victims was Margaret O'Donnell, the town's beloved schoolteacher, whose charred remains were discovered clutching a stack of student essays she had been grading. Locals whispered that Margaret's spirit refused to leave Independence, doomed to wander the scorched earth she once called home. Visitors today recount seeing a translucent woman dressed in singed clothing standing near the site of the old schoolhouse, her expression one of sorrowful resignation. Others describe hearing faint scratching sounds as though someone, or something, is trying to dig their way out of the ashes. Another prominent figure in Independence's spectral lore is Jacob Iron Jaw McCoy, a ruthless mine owner whose greed knew no bounds. McCoy was notorious for exploiting his workers, forcing them to endure grueling hours in unsafe conditions while pocketing the profits. His tyranny came to an abrupt end in 1884, when a group of disgruntled miners ambushed him outside his office, leaving his mutilated body sprawled across the main street. Though justice was never served, locals say McCoy's vengeful spirit haunts the town to this day. Campers near the ruins of his office report feeling an overwhelming sense of dread, accompanied by the sound of heavy footsteps stomping through the dirt. On more than one occasion, hikers have sworn they saw a gaunt man wielding a pickaxe stalking them from a distance, his hollow eyes gleaming with malice. The town's isolation adds another layer of dread to its already foreboding atmosphere. Perched at an elevation of over 10,000 feet, Independence is accessible only via winding dirt roads that twist precariously through the mountains. During the winter months, the town becomes entirely inaccessible, cloaked in a mantle of snow that seems to muffle all sound except for the howling wind. Even in summer, the silence is palpable, broken only by the creak of aging timber or the distant rumble of thunder rolling across the peaks. Visitors frequently describe feeling an inexplicable pull towards certain areas of the town, as though unseen forces were guiding them towards sites of tragedy. Some report seeing strange lights dancing in the distance, resembling lanterns carried by long-dead prospectors searching for their lost claims. Others claim to hear the rhythmic clanging of picks against rock, as though the mines were still operational and filled with industrious spirits. Modern-day investigations into Independence's paranormal activity have yielded intriguing results. Thermal cameras detect significant temperature drops in key locations, including the ruins of the schoolhouse and the site of McCoy's office. Audio recordings capture faint whispers, some pleading for help, others issuing cryptic warnings in garbled tones. Perhaps the most compelling evidence comes from a series of photographs taken during a recent expedition, which appeared to show translucent figures standing amidst the ruins, their forms distorted by heat waves rising from the scorched earth. Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted reputation, Independence continues to draw curious travelers eager to immerse themselves in its storied past. For those brave enough to make the journey, the promise of encountering its spectral inhabitants offers both terror and fascination. Whether you're drawn by the allure of its dramatic landscape or the thrill of peeling back the layers of its enigmatic history, Independence promises an unforgettable experience where the line between the living and the dead blurs, and the echoes of yesterday linger just beyond reach. The silent sentinel of the Rockies deep within the heart of Colorado's Elk Mountains. The ghost town of Gothic stands as a silent sentinel to a bygone era of ambition, resilience, and ultimate surrender. Established in 1879 during the Silver Boom, Gothic quickly rose to prominence as one of the region's most prosperous mining communities. At its peak, the town housed over 1,000 residents, complete with schools, churches, and bustling saloons. Yet beneath its outward prosperity lay a foundation riddled with hardship and heartache, setting the stage for a legacy steeped in tragedy and the supernatural. One of Gothic's most infamous episodes unfolded in 1883, when a devastating landslide buried a section of the town, claiming the lives of 27 miners and their families. The disaster struck without warning, swallowing homes and businesses whole and leaving survivors to sift through the rubble in search of loved ones. Local accounts describe the air being thick with despair, punctuated by the wails of grieving families and the relentless barking of dogs sensing the loss. Today, visitors to Gothic report hearing faint echoes of those mournful cries carried on the wind that sweeps through the valley. Some claim to see shadowy figures digging frantically in the soil, their movements frantic yet purposeless, as though trapped in an endless cycle of grief and rescue. Another haunting tale tied to Gothic involves the mysterious death of Emily Cartwright, the town's postmistress. Known for her kindness and dedication, Emily was a beloved figure in the community, until she was found dead in her quarters in 1887 under suspicious circumstances. Rumors swirled about a possible romantic entanglement gone awry, though no conclusive evidence was ever uncovered. Her body was laid to rest in the town cemetery, but locals insisted her spirit never left. Visitors to Gothic describe encountering a translucent woman dressed in period attire, her face etched with sorrow, wandering near the old post office. Others report hearing faint tapping sounds, reminiscent of Morse code, emanating from the walls of the building, as if Emily were attempting to send one last message. Perhaps the most chilling aspect of Gothic's haunted reputation stems from its association with the phantom miner. This spectral figure is said to haunt the abandoned mines that dot the surrounding hillsides. Miners who ventured too deep into these tunnels often returned with tales of encountering a gaunt, shadowy man wielding a lantern. His presence was accompanied by an overwhelming sense of dread, and many swore they felt icy fingers gripping their shoulders, urging them to turn back. Modern-day explorers recount similar experiences, describing lights flickering inexplicably, tools moving on their own, and disembodied voices whispering warnings like, "Leave now," or, "This is not your place." One particularly unsettling account comes from a group of spelunkers who swore they saw glowing eyes staring at them from the darkness before vanishing without a trace. Gothic's isolation amplifies its eerie atmosphere. Accessible only via narrow dirt roads that wind perilously through the mountains, the town feels disconnected from the modern world, a relic frozen in time. Nights here are pitch black, save for the occasional glimmer of starlight filtering through the dense canopy of trees. Sounds carry unnaturally far in the thin mountain air, making every creak and groan seem amplified. Hikers traversing the nearby trails frequently describe hearing footsteps crunching through the underbrush behind them, despite being miles from the nearest human habitation. Others claim to see strange lights bobbing in the distance, resembling lanterns carried by long-dead prospectors searching for their lost claims. Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted reputation, Gothic continues to attract adventurous travelers eager to test their courage against the elements. For those brave enough to make the journey, the promise of encountering its spectral inhabitants offers both terror and fascination. Whether you're drawn by the allure of its dramatic landscape or the thrill of peeling back the layers of its enigmatic history, Gothic promises an unforgettable experience where the line between the living and the dead blurs, and the echoes of yesterday linger just beyond reach. Dear reader, as we bring this journey through Colorado's most haunted ghost towns to a close, I hope you've felt the same spine-tingling allure that has drawn countless souls to these spectral sanctuaries. These stories are more than just campfire tales or urban legends. They are fragments of history, stitched together by human emotion, tragedy, and the unrelenting passage of time. Each creaking floorboard, each whispered name, and each fleeting shadow serves as a reminder that the past is never truly gone. It lingers, waiting for someone brave enough to listen. But why stop here? If these accounts have stirred something within you, a spark of curiosity, a shiver of excitement, I urge you to take the next step. Visit one of these haunted ghost towns yourself. Walk the same streets where spirits are said to roam, sleep under the stars in the shadow of crumbling ruins, and let the unknown brush against your senses. Whether you're a skeptic seeking proof or a believer eager to commune with the other side, these abandoned settlements offer an unparalleled opportunity to confront the mysteries that lie just beyond the veil. And when you return, share your story. Did you feel the icy touch of a ghostly hand? Hear the faint strains of music in an empty saloon? Or perhaps nothing happened at all, but isn't that silence just as intriguing? Your experiences add to the rich tapestry of lore surrounding these haunted ghost towns, ensuring their legacies endure for generations to come. Until then, keep your lanterns lit and your courage steady. The spirits are waiting.